So it feels that potentially there is a chance, and again, there's no guarantees in this world, that we're more like 2020 than we are in 2021.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
or it's very also it's spookily similar to 2017 for me.
Raoul Pal says this cycle mirrors 2017 and could peak by June 2026, but not all the altcoins will rally this time. He's talking about this particular crypto sector that would drive the pump, and that's where we could see the maximum gains. And today we're going to share 3 coins to watch in that sector. This is your Altcoin Buzz News. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cody, and if you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when I drop latest content. Follow us on Twitter, Altcoin Buzz AO, and as always, not financial advice, and wish the best of luck in your crypto ventures. Alright, good morning guys. We had a big sell-off over the weekend, obviously with the war news. We ended up running this low, which we thought might happen before higher numbers, and it seems that it has happened. We swept this low, but we actually closed back above on the weekly candle, so it's trying to make a bit of a comeback right now. We'll have to wait and see what happens on New York Open today to see what happens with stocks and everything, with the S&P, with the NASDAQ, if it wants to go lower. It is still possible we could go lower and head down towards this $97,000 range. We were talking about last week how we thought this inefficiency of this candle would get filled in at some point. We thought this low would get swept, which it did. And we also thought that this V reversal here was not healthy. It was just a bunch of big institutions T-whopping. And so it just went straight up after the sell-off, which was not typically healthy, and we didn't have a base form. So because of all these things, we thought it was highly likely that it would come back down here and sweep this, and it did. So hopefully you were positioned, accordingly, and you weren't super long as we had this major sell-off over the weekend. So I do think it is still possible. We do have more lows to come. I don't know if that was necessarily the bottom. Usually the bottoms, tend to go like this, where we have a major move down, and then we go sideways for a little bit, and then we start to make higher lows and higher highs. So we actually don't want a V reversal like we had here, because it just ends up getting retraced the entirety of the move. So we don't want this to V reverse straight up. We want this to accumulate and create a level which holds as support, not like this, because there was no support here, and we just broke straight through it. So we're going to have to wait and see a little bit, see what happens at New York Open with stocks and everything as well. We also have the Kobayashi later saying the bullish case of this weekend's event. While the Israel-Iran war has undeniably escalated with the U.S. involvement, it's not all bad news. In fact, there may be a situation where this weekend's events lead to a faster conclusion of this conflict. This situation would be one where all sides can claim a win, and here's how it may look. The U.S. strikes on Iran were the most unexpected event of this war. If anything, it was a way for the U.S. to appear strong after months of threatening rhetoric from Trump to Iran. On the flip side, it also allows Israel to say they successfully destroyed Iran's nuclear capabilities. But what about Iran? Between threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz, strikes on Israel, and potential retaliation against the U.S., Iran can maintain an image of power. Then, as Israel and the U.S. believe Iran's nuclear capabilities have been contained, they'll come back to the table for a deal. At that point, a deal becomes even more likely, as all parties can claim a win. Israel will say they destroyed Iran's nuclear capabilities, the US will say the same, and Iran will say they successfully repelled Israel and the US. And to top it all off, Russia and China are becoming mediators in this conflict, despite the unrelated tensions, bridging retaliations with the US as well. While all of the headlines are negative right now, there is still a highly viable path to a short-lived conflict. We are optimistic. So I don't know if it's that optimistic. This is like the most optimistic view that, this was, it's all going to, resolve soon. This is the most optimistic view, and it's a possibility I wanted to share. I don't believe this to be the most likely outcome, but it is an outcome that is possible. And so the worst could be over. It's possible, but I'm not entirely sure if it's the most probable. We also had over $570 million wiped out of the crypto markets in just 12 hours. Bitcoin dropped to below 100,000 actually. Ethereum hit lows of under 2,100, and rising US-Iran tensions are fueling fear and volatility across the global markets, and it still could be happening today. We also have at the same time, Texas Strategic Bitcoin Reserve has been officially signed into law. So Texas is now going to be officially starting to accumulate Bitcoin for their own strategic reserve as a state. Metaplanet, the Japanese company, also acquired an additional 1,111 Bitcoin for $118 million, and now they hold a total of 11,111 Bitcoin acquired for just about $1.07 billion at an average price of $95,000 per Bitcoin. Also at the same time, $4.7 billion Cardone Capital has added 1,000 Bitcoin and plans 3,000 more this year. This is the first real estate firm with a full Bitcoin strategy. So a lot more big companies and even states in the US are starting to acquire Bitcoin strategies. Then moving on, we have Raoul Pal, who says this cycle mirrors 2017 and could peak by June 2026. AI, ETFs, and liquidity may drive crypto from $3 trillion to $100 trillion. So he says this.
And the mandate across the entire region, from Saudi to Abu Dhabi to Dubai to Bahrain to Qatar, is AI and blockchain. And not just using Bitcoin as a reserve asset, but also building the entire government infrastructure on blockchain, driving licenses, property deeds, the whole bloody lot. So it's it's fascinating to see. And then a lot of people say to me, well, if all of this money's coming in from the sovereigns, that may produce an outside return. And I'm thinking, well, if we're going from 3 trillion to 100 trillion, which is my estimate by just extrapolating out the trend rate of growth, you need larger players each time because the market cap is bigger, right? There's no way you're going to get to 15 trillion this cycle unless you've got bigger players. So it's kind of, I don't think it's what people think it is. I think it's just a function of the size of the market. The bigger it becomes, the more that those people are involved, and the more blockchain technology gets used, the more it uses the alts for infrastructure rails, for new forms of compute and storage and all the other things that are coming. So I just thought it was interesting because everyone's like, oh my God, it's a super cycle because of this. I'm starting to err towards, well, we've talked about this before, a longer cycle. It feels that potentially there is a chance, and again, there's no guarantees in this world, that we're more like 2020 than we are in 2021. Or it's it's spookily similar to 2017 for me.
Now, Raoul isn't directly talking about infrastructure and layer ones, protocols with real utility, and especially ones with AI. So the first coin we're talking about today is Near Protocol. So governance on Near has a packed roadmap for 2025. Stay on the lookout for House of Stake 1.0 going live later this year. P.S. Don't sleep on the AI assistant. So Near is one layer one that is heavily integrated in AI, and we also have Near Protocol is one of the few chains prioritizing UX abstraction. Since Near introduced meta transactions in March of 2023, dApps like Sweat Economy, Aurora, and even wallets like Meteor and Here Wallet have used relayers to onboard over 127 million unique accounts. We also have Alex, the co-founder of Aurora, saying, great to see Near Protocol's intents taking off. So first off, major ecosystems are adopting Near intents as a radically simpler transaction framework for cross-chain swaps, OTC trading, crypto gifts with just a link, and a bunch of other use cases. Integrations in just the past few weeks include BNB Chain, Infinex, Kyber Network, Memedex, Ria Finance, and SwapKit. And the next coin to watch is BitTensor's Tau. So Tau has quietly moved to the 31 ranked crypto on Earth by market cap, surpassing Uniswap, Aave, Near, Aptos, Caspa, and ICP. We also have Grayscale saying introducing the artificial intelligence crypto sector. The AI sector includes 20 tokens with a combined market cap of 20 billion, up from 4.5 billion Q1 2023. So they have BitTensor Tau as their number one coin for artificial intelligence crypto sector. And then we have Virtuals and Everything Empty, who is a core contributor at Virtuals, saying why we stick to be an AI agent protocol, because eventually all utility projects will just become AI agents. We also have Virtuals. Eden Network is joining Virtuals as a partner network. So Eden Ventures and Virtuals are joining forces to shape the future of on-chain agent economy through deep integration, co-creation, and shared belief in a network of AI native applications that coordinate, transact, and evolve on-chain. In every major platform shift, the winners aren't just protocols, they're ecosystems, a symbiotic web of builders, users, infrastructure, and cultural force. With Virtuals, we see the emergence of that next shift, a platform where agents are the new applications, as are composable on-chain and AI native actors that transact, coordinate, and build autonomously. And then moving on, we have the Solana Foundation has signed a memorandum of understanding with Kazakhstan's MDAI following the launch of the first Solana economic zone in Central Asia. This partnership will advance tokenization capital markets, crypto development education, and resources for Solana startups based in the region. So Solana is going worldwide. We also have Cantor Fitzgerald is a $60 billion asset under management fund that shared a report sharing why they're bullish on Solana. First, it's high speed, low fees, validator client diversity. Robinhood and Kraken are piloting tokenized US securities using Solana. They're bullish Solana relative to ETH, as the developer growth on Solana has outpaced Ethereum. Solana ETFs will be more appealing due to higher staking yields, and ETH relies on layer 2s. Solana processes everything natively. They're also very bullish on DeFi Dev Corp. DeFi Dev Corp is a publicly traded company that's been hoarding Solana and plans to buy up to $5 billion of Solana in the future. Now, Solana has come into the zone that we marked last week, and this is really its last area where if it doesn't hold up here, it's going to head lower down towards the low 100s again. So if we don't bounce here, it's not looking too good for Solana. Ideally, what we want to see is it start to accumulate in this range and then eventually break above and then start to make higher lows. So we want to see a base form in this range between 123 and 134 at the very least. If we would start to break below 125, I would cut all positions as we're most likely going down lower. And then moving on to a coin we haven't talked about in a while, that's Stories IP. So ETH Whales have accumulated 16 million IP for $47.52 million recently. One whale accumulated 17 million, another 29 million as well. Story also recently set notifications on big things coming soon. So they posted this and whales are accumulating. So obviously there's some big insider whales who are accumulating in anticipation of something big coming for Story. And Story is joining Oxford University on a collaborative research initiative to push forward the future of AI agents. The focus areas include improving AI agent negotiations and clarity in AI agent communication. So there could be some big, something big coming for IP soon. It has pumped a lot today, but it is still on a pretty big downtrend. And so even though some news could be coming out, IP doesn't really look that good on the daily chart. At least we are making, these lower highs and lower lows. So we don't want to get involved just yet until we break back above $4.20. That would be a high time frame market structure shift, as we'd be, breaking back above this high here that led to this low. So once we get back above here, it's a lot more bullish, because even if we do come back up here towards $3.60, it could still just be an underside retest, and the whales that just bought could be dumping on us. So we want to wait for it to get back above here at the very least, and then we'll be heading much higher, because right now everything is still in a downtrend. So we don't want to get involved just yet on Story Protocol, but you could set alerts up here if you wanted to pick it up later. And then lastly for today, we have TED saying a newly created wallet withdrew nearly $60 million of ETH from Binance. People are taking advantage of the Ethereum dip. We also have Crypto Goose saying breaking, a mystery whale created a new wallet after the market dropped and bought 50,000 ETH worth $112.9 million from Binance. The whales are buying the dip aggressively. We also have Cointelegraph saying latest staked ETH has hit a new all-time high of 35 million ETH locked, over 28.3% of the total supply. And Ethereum whales are stacking ETH like the supply runs out tomorrow. This is the biggest sign the altcoin season is right around the corner. So I don't know if I fully agree with that yet, that the altcoin season is around the corner, but I do believe that ETH whales are stacking like crazy because of what they predict, to be happening once we do come back. ETH now has officially broken this level of support around $2,400. We were talking about this last week, how it pumped up here into resistance and it swept these highs above here. So it took out any stops that were here for shorts, and then it continued lower, which was very bearish. And then we started to break down below here again. We came down towards around 2,100 over the weekend on the latest dip. And we are hovering just around 2250 right now. Now, I do think we could go lower, but it's also possible that we could do a little bit of this, a little underside retest, and then continue back down towards around the $2,000 mark, which I think is a possibility. If we want this to reclaim, we really want to see it come back above this level here on 2547, at the very least, to start being bullish. So we want to see it come up here, reclaim this level at the very least, and then we'll be making, higher highs and higher lows. But if we don't do that, if we just come up here, it's not super bullish just yet, because we could just be doing an underside retest and heading back down here, which I think is a possibility between 2,000 and around 1850, 1860. I think that's a possibility as well if Bitcoin goes down towards $97,000 and $95,000 range. So nothing to do just yet on Ethereum. I was very shocked by Ethereum's price action over the past couple of weeks, because it was holding up strong because the ETFs were buying like crazy. But this market structure right here, this is a sign of distribution. So this is what usually happens on high time frames, because we're on the daily chart. This is what happens when whales are unloading. So we have a pump up, it retraces, pump up, retrace, pump up, retrace. So this is what distribution looks like before heading lower. But then it was a little bit confusing when we pumped up here, because it looked like we were going higher. But the fact that it took out these swaps confirmed that was very bearish, and we were going to head lower and see lower prices. And eventually that did happen. So we are now, probably going to test the underside of this before heading lower. So not anything to do on Ethereum just yet, as we are kind of waiting for pretty much the headline risk to go away. So overall, Bitcoin not looking the best right now. We are at around 101.2. I do think we break down below here, come down towards around 97-ish in the near term. But likewise, if we are able to hold above here and we're able to come back and somehow reclaim 106 in the near future, that would change the market structure back to bullish, and we could be going to new highs soon. But I think it will take a little bit of time, because we don't want this to happen again. We don't want this immediate V reversal back up to highs, because that it doesn't build a very strong support. So ideally, we want to hold around this level, build a level of support before we can continue higher. So that's the video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow.